welcome to the Above Average Podcast, the only AA meeting worth attending. I'm your host, Lake, and with me, as always, is Tanim.
What's up, everyone?
Not much. We finally both got our Moderna vaccines.
We're all
We're
chipped
too
up.
healthy.
Yep.
Yeah, we got our Moderna vaccine, so we can finally get back to doing this in person.
Well, you got Moderna. I got my Pfizer.
You got Pfizer? No, man, fuck you. Team Moderna.
we no longer can do the podcast.
No, I know. Yeah, I imagine being a fucking Pfizer pleb.
Team Moderna. Fuck you.
Team Moderna. Like, people are actually apparently getting competitive about, or tribalistic about, what kind of vaccine they have.
I mean, people really wanted the Johnson & Johnson until they took it away.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice that it's just one dose, but isn't its like efficacy below like the Moderna and the Pfizer?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not AstraZeneca.
I mean, they still have vaccines, and they're trying to schedule those people who took them in the first place.
Oh yeah, man! I had to go out to Brampton to get mine.
Oh wow!
Like, literally, the only reason to go to Brampton is buffets.
Or if you're brown.
Yeah, but like if you're brown, you're going to buffets too.
Or you just live there.
Or you just live there because you work at the airport or something. But like if you're
Brampton, it's called B Town.
B Town.
Yeah, brown people. That's where they flock and where they live. And I can say that being a brown person.
Nice. Do you know why that is? Like, if there's like an origin story to that, or is it just
no idea? I mean, it's just like how Spadina is Chinatown. Like,
yeah, fair enough. Like, just one family moved there, and everyone from back home
congregated
was
there.
like, all right, yeah, we'll go there. Man, my fucking family's from like, we're like immigrants from a country no one immigrates from. So like, when my grandfather came here, he he just didn't have like a community to follow. So it was like just him.
Right.
So like it made some like really weird things. Like, it made my family think like they're not immigrants. You know, my grandfather, as a result, like my grandfather like never taught his kids like how to speak his language.
Yep.
So they have like all these like weird theories, like, oh, our dad didn't have an accent. No, yes, he did. It was strange. Yeah, it would have been nice if there was like a Brampton for him to go to and get his fucking pickled herring on.
What is he? What's his background? What's your background?
Oh, he's Danish.
Right.
Yeah, and there's like Denmark. There's less people in Denmark than there are in the GTA. So, like, obviously there weren't going to be many of us here to begin.
I mean, you got the Polish community in like Ronsinsville area.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But like, they're different. I think my grandfather just ended up hanging out with like other Jews and Germans.
Oh, they get along.
Yeah, exactly. They get along famously. Speaking of which, Israel. I'm sorry, I'm kidding. We can cut that out.
Nothing gets cut out here.
Oh, okay. Nothing gets edited. Oh shit, I'm in trouble then.
It's too bad. Too bad you mentioned your name.
God damn it. Oh well. So I might as well get my libel out of the way. Coca-Cola is made from baby fetuses. John Hamm has a micropenis. Wait, is it if we do it over a podcast, is it libel or is it slang?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, I don't know, because I know like one is spoken and one is written, but I was wondering if like in media, if it's like if like media in general just counts as libel, but
could be slander. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't want to find out.
All right. Well, Coca-Cola lawyers definitely hit me up and let me know. Sorry, I want to stay on the Moderna thing. How were your symptoms after you got?
I had no symptoms. My arm was hurting for a couple of days, but I mean like a day, but that's it. I was good.
Man, that's not okay. Shit, the Moderna one should come with like a warning that you shouldn't operate heavy machinery for like 2 days.
Was that bad for you?
Oh, it wasn't like it didn't feel bad. Obviously, it was worth it, but like it made me really tired. Like more like artificially tired than I've been probably ever. Like I went on a picnic afterwards, and I fell like flat on my ass asleep.
And you're the healthiest person on earth.
Apparently, yeah. That's why I had to get my vaccine so late. But yeah, no, I was just like, I was extremely tired for like the next 2 days, and from what I only know, I've only spoken to one person who's actually had COVID, and they didn't have it so bad, like they weren't hospitalized or anything, but they said like the worst cold, and I just fell asleep for like 14 hours, and that's basically what happened to me without the the
Right.
cold symptoms. Shit, if that was the vaccine, like I hate to see what happened if you actually got COVID.
You better call in sick for the next one.
Yeah, no, I think I'm doing that. My work actually gives you a day off to get vaccinated.
Yeah, most companies will do that.
Oh yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, they should do that.
Well, legit companies.
Yeah, no, obviously. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, what do you do if your company? Because I know there's
Refuses?
like, no, like, no, worse than that. Like, what is your recourse if, like, I know it's probably not the majority of, it's almost certainly not the majority of companies. There's enough people out there who are crazy and COVID conspiracy theorists. What happens if, like, your company just gets taken over by a COVID denier and doesn't give you time off to get the vaccine, or but like more importantly, like doesn't like refuses to implement social distancing, threatens to fire you if you get vaccinated because of shedding or some bullshit?
Then you let them fire you, and you take the check.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, that'd be like you think that'd be like a pretty healthy lawsuit if you actually like did.
Yeah, you could act upon it.
Yeah. Though I guess like I feel like workers on paper have a lot of rights to sue their employers, but like practically we don't.
Right.
Because sure, we could in theory sue someone, but like we gotta get fired and not get a paycheck, but also afford to pay a lawyer who can beat their lawyer.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty slim. Like the odds are pretty stacked against you, assuming you don't have like a clause in your contract that forces you to go to binding arbitration, which is bullshit, by the way. I was reading somewhere that like they were suggesting that like end user licensing agreements and employment contracts have essentially made it so that companies in America don't even really operate in our legal system anymore. Like they operate in like a separate privately controlled system of like arbitration and contract law that like just never sees the inside of a court.
Right.
It's dangerous. Where was I? Yeah, something lawyers, something.
It's that Moderna vaccine.
Oh yeah. No, I got the Moderna brain. Don't you know the Moderna vaccine is for stupid people?
Maybe I should have gotten it.
Moderna is the vaccine for sexy people, though. Like that's what everyone was saying.
Clearly.
Right? Yes, obviously. Look at this.
If only they can see you.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's really the tragedy of an audio medium.
They can just Google you though.
Yeah, probably. Please don't. I can't deal with stalkers. It's just I'm not equipped to do that.
They'll hack your Zoom meetings and team meetings and talk to you.
Oh god. Yeah, no, I already can't really deal with how much how much I assume my company spies on me or reads my Teams chats.
You should do a test and see if they pick it up on it.
See, that's the thing. I don't think I'd want them. I don't think I'd want them to like notice anything.
You don't want them to know that you're in on it.
Like nothing that they would notice, I would want them to hear.
Right.
Is the biggest issue. Yeah, no, I'm not really feeling it. Speaking of lawyers and employment risk and shit, I just bought a house.
Ooh.
I know. We're gonna have a new headquarters.
You bought that COVID house.
Yeah, exactly. I got the COVID house. But ironically, I didn't choose to move to the suburbs because, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, not into it at all. not feeling it's a pretty weird situation because I think the benefits of downtown pretty much dried up, and a lot of people just ended up being forced, or not really ended up being forced to go to the suburbs, but thought like I'll do better if I move to the suburbs. Like I'll get like a bigger place, and it doesn't really matter if I can't like walk to shops and shit.
It'll cost
less. There's nothing open anyway. I think that's like a legitimate sentiment, but it's not forever.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's gonna presumably get better sometime soon. No, the housing market in Toronto is absolutely insane. Like there's no rhyme or reason or logic to it in my mind.
It's the Wild West.
Yeah, exactly. Like every time I drive through somewhere in the GTA, all I can think about is, wow, people pay actual money to live here. Like actual currency to live here. And not like a little currency. Like they pay a lot of money. Like $500,000 to live in Hamilton.
Yep.
That's would you pay $500,000 to live in Hamilton? I don't feel I'm not feeling it.
I mean, if I lived in Hamilton and had a job, I guess.
I guess. Even then, I don't know. Like there's something feels just inherently wrong about paying money to live in a lesser GTA city. No offense to Hamilton, but like actually a lot of offense. Like a lot. Yeah, no, I think I also just can't help but feel there's like a lot of like attached to the real estate industry. There's just like a lot of people who just like take a cut from whatever you're doing. Like, there's your lawyers who just like apparently read your fucking documents.
Yeah, there's a lot of middlemen that get in the way.
Yeah. Like, was it always like this, or was it like was it always like this? Was there always this much middlemen trying to like get a piece of my house? Doing like 15 minutes of work and then like piggybacking 5% on the largest purchase of my life for some googling.
I think it was less then because, certain jobs weren't available or existed before, but then also people got screwed over a lot more.
Yeah, that's true. Like there weren't like professional boards and like membership organizations you had to sign up for. Yeah. That's probably true. I feel like the rise in housing prices though means that realtors should not be paid the same percentage anymore. Because 5% of a $100,000 house is one thing, but 5% of $1 million house that's quite a bit different.
Right. I mean, that's what persuades them to be real estate agents.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. That seems excessive. I feel like you don't need. I feel like you don't need a 5% commission on that. Like on $1 million. That or like however much work.
You'll be getting all the realtors going off you right now.
I'm not saying you don't deserve money, but there is work that I don't know how to do, and that's important. It's just why should you get paid more just because houses cost more? Like the work is not changed. It's just the price of housing's changed. At least I assume so. Like I'd be very surprised if there's now 10 times as much work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess also too, it's more negotiation too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. There's negotiations, analysis, but I don't know.
What made you choose where you ended up buying?
Oh well, I ended up buying at Eglinton and near Eglinton West subway station. And part of the reason I'm buying there is there's a new subway going along
construction line, yeah.
Yeah, going along Eglinton. So when once the construction's over, I'll have a brand spanking new subway line, and that'll be pretty sweet. So I figured that'll be good for me in the long run.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I made a good decision in that regard. It's a good place for Jamaican food.
It is Jamaican food town.
Yes, exactly. It's Jamaica. It's the Jamaican neighborhood and the Jewish neighborhood, right next to each other.
I mean, they get along perfectly.
Exactly. I'll have jerked bagels
every day.
Jerked bagels every day. That's what's gonna happen.
Bagel jerk sandwich.
Yeah. No, that should totally happen. See, one of the problems I think with Toronto is we don't really have our own distinct cuisine yet.
I don't think we should.
Yeah, we should. We should.
No, we shouldn't.
New York has its pizza and its bagels, I guess. LA and whatchamacallits. San Diego have their tacos. I don't know. Paris has escargot or something. But I think Toronto needs and Philadelphia has the cheese steak.
Yeah.
But and New Orleans is Cajun. I feel like we just haven't exploited the diversity here enough to create our own insane fusion cuisine.
We have garbage plates.
Yeah, we got the garbage plate. I thought garbage plate was a New York thing.
It's an American thing, but I mean, we still kind of have that with not having our own.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess there's only so many dishes that you can make. But I'm thinking we need some kind of like what I was saying, a fusion of Jewish and Jamaican cuisine, or like, I don't know, like Indian and Greek.
You're not happy with maple syrup and poutine?
That maple syrup and poutine is really like a Eastern Ontario Quebec thing. It's not really a Toronto thing. I just think there's a lot of potential being wasted in terms of like mixing cuisines. Like we could mix a crazy number of cuisines.
Right, but they don't always mix well.
Like what doesn't what don't you think would mix well?
Like Japanese food and like Jamaican food?
Okay, yeah, fair enough. No jerk chicken sushi for you?
No, that sounds gross.
Maybe not, but there's things worth trying. Like, I'm sure there's something to be found in like Greek Indian fusion. If no one's done that already.
I mean, you can try it and see.
Yeah, I just like it doesn't need to happen, but like it's like it doesn't need to happen like with everything, but like something should happen. Like there should be some sort of mixed cuisine that defines our city's cuisine. We just don't quite have that yet. We need a city dish. I think Osmos was getting close with the shawarma poutine.
That's not Canadian or something we can represent.
It's Canadian. It's got poutine in it. That's Canadian enough.
With Middle Eastern.
Yeah, exactly. And there's Middle Eastern people in Toronto, so that's a I don't know. That's a good mix for me. Maybe not exactly that mix, but like something along those lines. All right, maybe shawarma poutine can be like Mississauga's official dish. They did invent Osmo.
Lake's taking resumes for dishes now.
Yes. What is Toronto's official dish going to be? It's very important. The future of the city hinges on.
Email him personally.
Yes. Go to my email at borisbonson@gmail.com.
Right.
That, by the way, is actually so do you have like a fake email you always use when you when you go to airports, like they ask you for your email to log into the Wi-Fi?
Multiple emails.
Yeah, so like do you use multiple emails
Yep.
for logging into that, or do you have like
I've multiple different email accounts for different things.
do you have like a set list, or do you make a new one every time?
No, like multiple fake ones. Like I don't give them my
Okay. Like you don't just give them a fake one?
real one.
Oh.
Is that the Boris one?
I use the same fake one every time.
Nice.
Yeah, I give them boris.bonson@gmail.com. Whoever actually has that email, I'm very sorry.
Kind of look like a Boris.
Every time I go to Heathrow, that's what I log in at. By the way, if anyone's curious, is Boris Johnson if he was a blood, which of course we all know he's a Crip, but I digress. Obviously.
Speaking of Boris and Russian-sounding criminals, Amazon recently bought MGM. If you heard about that,
MGM, like the movie studio.
Yep.
Oh damn! So they're like really going for the movie industry's jugular.
I think it bought it for like $6.2 billion.
That's less than I thought it would be.
But I think like a lot of people are talking about saying that one of the main reasons is because Amazon couldn't get streaming rights for the next Bond, so they're just like, fuck it, let's just buy the studio.
And MGM owns James Bond, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I wonder. It's making me wonder, like, how much like tech companies will like increase, because tech companies dominate media so much. Like, how much they'll come to dominate the film industry.
Yeah.
Because like Amazon's already come out with like 2 major films that I know of. They did You Were Never Really Here, starring Joaquin Phoenix, and they did another one starring Joaquin Phoenix, but I'm not sure what that other one was. I can't remember off the top of my head. They were all right. Like they weren't. I think they were kind of low key, but I don't think they went too badly.
Right. Well, now they have like a huge kind of backing, compete against like Netflix and Apple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Apple might do better with this. I know they're like a little behind on streaming, but they are making the Foundation series, which I will probably watch. Oh, and Apple was actually already nominated for this year's Academy Awards with Greyhound, starring Tom Cruise, which is apparently, or not Tom,
which everyone saw.
Apparently, it's pretty boring. A movie about submarine hunting, which I would have thought would be a little more interesting.
Screams excitement.
Oh, screams excitement. Well, people used to love submarine movies. Hunt for the Red October, Crimson Tide. I don't know what the deal was. Like, the 90s was just full of fucking submarine movies. cities.
I wonder if they were easy to film since it's just like one location.
Oh yeah, you could just like it's like, oh yeah, trust me, action's happening on the outside of this fucking one room studio we dressed up to look like a control room.
Right.
Ugh, terrible. I feel like a submarine's probably like the worst thing, like the worst thing in the military. Maybe.
Especially for claustrophobic.
Oh god. Ugh. I mean, the Russian ones apparently have swimming pools, so maybe it's not so bad.
Y'all can't buy massive Russian submarines.
I mean, but some of us can. Some of us can. I don't really have a segue for this one. I was speaking to someone about this, and we've been talking a lot about how long distance communication and Zoom and Teams and email has made it so that most office jobs you don't really need to live where you work anymore at all. Like, you can live in Lincoln, Nebraska and work at a company headquartered in San Jose. And it's probably, like, you'll probably make more money because of the money you'll save on housing. And so that's,
Also currency. Like I have clients who are in the States and they pay me in US dollars. So it's just like
ooh, that
currency
is
exchange
down.
is better.
Though they should really be paying you in Dogecoin.
Or Bitcoin.
Or Bitcoin, yes. The pollution machine you plug in and it makes money.
It's too bad that those cryptos kind of tanked.
Yeah, it tanked. Like, I think people were blaming Elon Musk, but I think it's really because the Chinese government banned crypto or banned like privately owned cryptocurrency. Which I mean I know the Chinese government's been doing some controversial things lately, but banning crypto and mukbang videos, I think I'm in.
And I think Korea banned skinny jeans recently.
Wait, North Korea or South?
North.
Oh well, in that case, I'm surprised they were legal at all.
Could have been a meme, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw like a Kim Jong Un post on him banning skinny jeans, which was pretty
It's
funny.
like, no, I can't fit these, therefore no one can have them. I feel you, Kim. I also don't want people wearing skinny jeans. But anyway, they were speculating that since we don't really need to work where we live, do we really need to have the government in one place? The pandemic's kind of brought into question, like, do we really need capital cities at all?
Right.
And the answer is no. But I'm going to talk about this anyway. So, like, there's been this phenomenon recently. I've spoken before on the show about African dictators who've taken to telecommuting their jobs as president, so they're like preemptively in exile. But you know how most countries have their largest city as their capital, right?
Yep.
And if they don't, usually there's a reason. Like in the case of Canada, the US, and Australia, the reason our largest cities aren't our capital cities is because we're federations and we moved our capitals to bullshit cities like Ottawa and Canberra as a compromise. So in Australia's case, like Sydney didn't want Melbourne having all the power and Melbourne didn't want Sydney having all the power. So neither of them get to be capitals. Same with Canada, with Montreal and Toronto.
Right.
So instead of all of it centering around one city, it just centers around like a different city kind of way out there. And this has actually been proposed as a solution to a problem in Britain. So, like, what happens if you have your largest city as your capital? It concentrates political and economic power in one place at the expense of kind of everywhere else. So, in the case of Britain, like the federal government brings with it a huge number of high-paying jobs, and so in the case of London, they're both the economic heart of England and its political center. Like, it's really concentrated everything around one megacity, and there's really nowhere in Britain that can compete with it. So you see this like this brain drain from the north, and this draining of economic resources because people in the north pay their taxes, and it moves to pay salaries in London, who then spend it on London activities. So
Yeah.
a proposed solution to this was like moving the capital of Britain to like Sheffield or somewhere in the north, and that would kind of alleviate, because the north of England is like their Rust Belt. It was their industrial heartland, and they suffered from the decline in manufacturing jobs. So that's kind of like a proposed solution to their economic woes.
Strengthen the North.
Yeah, exactly. Strengthen the North through independence. like another issue is like Britain doesn't have like provincial governments. If a city like Manchester wants to build its own subway, they can't really raise their own taxes to do that. They have to go to London cap in hand to like beg for the money and say like, we need to do this, please give us the money. And invariably London says no. Part of that is because London or the UK government wants to get the highest returns on their money, and the way they get the highest returns is investing it into their economic engine, which is London.
Yeah.
So the tax money leaves the north and enters London, but it doesn't go back, and they get lower returns for investing in Manchester, so that's why they don't really have an incentive to do it. So, but if like they had like provincial governments, so for example, like if Prince Edward Island was part of Ontario, Prince Edward Island would get no money, like at all. Like all of their tax dollars would go to invest in Toronto because that's where most people live. But Prince Edward Island, being its own province, gets to like keep its tax money and invest it in itself.
Yeah.
Or at least provincial level taxes. So there's something to be said for like independence on that level, like on a provincial level. Britain doesn't have that, so like moving the capital is one solution, but federalizing and dividing it into provinces is another. What do you think? Like, should would you visit Sheffield if it was the capital of Britain?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I still think we should have capitals, but I mean, I can see why they don't want capitals because of all the kind of legislation and like loopholes they have to go through just to get money.
Yeah. But like, I guess there's like, maybe like at that point there, like that's a point for capitals, but like maybe not capitals necessarily in like the largest city.
Yeah.
But sorry. Anyway, there's a second new kind of capital city.
New Jack City?
New Jack City, and it's what I like to call the vanity project capital city. A couple countries have invented new capital cities that they're building from scratch, and it's away from their largest cities. So like they do this for two reasons. Firstly, countries where they do this often have like really, really big capital cities. So like cities like Rio in Brazil or Lagos in Nigeria. And so instead of like being in the largest city, you want to like be away from the rioting peasants trying to overthrow your government. And so you build a new capital city in the middle of the jungle. And so like Brazil was actually kind of the first on this train when they built Brasilia in the 60s and moved the capital away from Rio de Janeiro. And then Nigeria did it as well, but that was more like Canada and the US, where like Nigeria is very divided north-south, so they didn't want, like the north wouldn't want the capital to be in the south, so as a compromise they built Abuja, which is kind of halfway between the north and the south. But the second reason is like it's a vanity project. It's like something for the dictator of that country to like name after themselves and like build like a shiny new city with all new stuff and plate it with gold and marble and statues of themselves and name all the streets after themselves, etc., etc. And it's like their lasting legacy. And my favorite example of this is Yamoussoukro in the Ivory Coast. They wanted to forget what the president of the Ivory Coast's name was who did this, but basically wanted to move the capital away from Abidjan to somewhere in the interior. And he made this city called Yamoussoukro.
Okay.
And the hilarious part is it hasn't worked. They built this city in the middle of nowhere. It's pretty opulent, but it's completely abandoned. And the government just isn't there. The government is still in Abidjan, even though on paper the capital is Yamoussoukro. One of the things he did was he filled all the artificial lakes around Yamoussoukro with crocodiles. And because people never moved into the city like they were supposed to, crocodiles have just been left to roam through the city. So there's like 20,000 crocodiles wandering around this like spooky town in the middle of the Ivory Coast.
Amazing.
And the fire department has to like come with like hoses and spray them until they waddle back into the water. And like sometimes they just like go around eating kids.
They should film a movie there.
I really think they should. They should definitely do some kind of horror movie about crocodiles. That'd be very funny. Like it's tragic in a way because you know like the people who did decide to move there just have to deal with the crocodiles.
Are getting eaten by crocodiles.
Yeah, it's a little funny. Like just
no,
how
it's not a little funny.
poorly
It's a
this-
lot.
Yeah, no, definitely. So the Ivory Coast and Tanzania both kind of did that, moved their capital cities away from their largest cities to these like artificial capitals in the interior. But in both cases, it failed. I believe as of now, like the governments of those two countries still have not relocated, and they still do most of their business out of their largest city. As much as you think you can force it, it doesn't always work that way.
Right, it backfired.
Yeah, exactly. You can't you can't necessarily just pop a bunch of buildings down in the middle of farm fields and call it a city. Like that's why Vaughan doesn't work. At least Vaughan doesn't have crocodiles.
I mean, it does have a Pacific Mall.
That's true. I'm sure you could buy crocodile at the Pacific
You can buy
Mall.
crocodile clothes.
Ooh, yeah. I need some new alligator boots,
Right.
to just for my LinkedIn picture.
Have you updated that?
No, I haven't. So I still look like I'm 12.
since the first podcast.
Yeah. No, I never did. Well, because where am I going to do it? I need like a professional photographer, maybe.
Take your iPhone and shoot it up in your place.
See, the other problem is like while I look much better, I have not. In some ways, I have not had a haircut in a long
Just send it over to me and I'll airbrush it out.
You're just gonna like Photoshop like a wig on.
Whatever movie star haircut you want, I'll put it on.
Okay, can you do Ewan McGregor from Train Spotting?
Sure.
Nice.
Or I'll give you like a Samuel L. Jackson haircut.
Is my skull gonna be black?
That's up to you.
Okay.
You can go blackface if you're comfortable with it.
No, it's not blackface. It's like black scalp. Like I think that's still racist. So please don't do that. Oh God, can you imagine? I don't know if Samuel L. Jackson would have a sense of humor about that.
Of course he would. He'll be like, he did Snakes on the Plane.
I really love movies that are like a combination of two different. Like the studio executive is just like pitched like, let's do a combination of blank and blank, and it'll work. So like Liam Neeson did like a movie that was basically just Taken on a plane. So it's like Snakes on a Plane mixed with Taken.
Yeah.
And it was terrible, but I don't remember any of it. And they're awful. Like remember the new Men in Black movie with Tessa Thompson?
I did not see it.
But like the pitch for that was definitely just like, how about Men in Black but with Thor Ragnarok characters?
Well, it's the same thing they did with Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, let's just do Ghostbusters but with the cast of Bridesmaids. Which like Bridesmaids was a funny movie, but like when you add like $200 million worth of CGI ghosts, it definitely like drives up the budget a bit. You might as well have Kevin Feige might as well have just done like a cheaper comedy like Bridesmaids was.
If they didn't call it Ghostbusters, I think it would have done better because everyone had this nostalgia of what they thought Ghostbusters was.
Yeah, I watched it, and it's a funny movie, but like I watched the earlier Ghostbusters movie, and I realized like Ghostbusters isn't really a comedy. Like, or it's not as
it's like an action movie with characters who are comedic.
Yeah, that's more it. And then like sprinkle of horror elements in there. Like it definitely, I don't want to say it's like it wasn't funny, but like it definitely wasn't trying to be as funny as like the 2016 Ghostbusters was trying to be. I think about that a lot. Like, have you ever read the book Black Leopard, Red Wolf?
No, I have not.
Okay, so it's like a fantasy book based in like fictional, fantastical universe based on like West African mythology.
Okay.
But it's like absolutely filthy. Like in terms of like it's just like full of like dicks and semen and shit. People just like murdering each other in hilarious and creative ways. So do not read it to your kids.
Is that what got your interest?
No, I was actually getting kind of into like the idea of Afrofuturism.
Yeah.
Just in that like sci-fi is kind of full of this idea of the future that's kind of been stuck since 1982 when Blade Runner came. This like dystopian quasi-Japanese-y future. Afrofuturism is like weird alternative vision of what the future can look like.
Right.
A sci-fi universe can look like outside of like our idea of like a blend of like Tokyo and New York and Hong Kong that we think the future looks like today. So I got into it because of that. Like I just thought like, okay, what's like an African fantasy? And it's interesting. Some people called it like an African Game of Thrones, but it's so much filthier than that, and it's great. A wise line someone once said was that filth is only great if it can get you killed. filth, and he was in that context. He was referring to. Have you ever read Dave the Oprichnik?
No.
Okay, so the guy who wrote that is a Russian dissident, and there's like a scene where like all the KGB agent, essentially KGB agents, just have like a massive, disgusting orgy, and like it's clearly, in a normal context, like that's like it's just kind of childish and stupid to like portray your enemies just like having sex with each other as funny, but like because it could get him killed, it's kind of okay. And same with the book, like Black Leopard, because it's written by like a lot. There's a lot about being a gay man in Africa and like gender identity in Africa, and it's written by a gay Jamaican man who, because of his sexual orientation, is like living in exile in the U.S. because like it would get him killed in Jamaica, possibly.
Yeah.
In that sense, so which means it's good filth because he wrote that book and it could get him killed. The point I was trying to make with this is Michael B. Jordan actually bought the rights, the book right or the movie rights for this book.
He's gonna play.
I don't think so. I don't think so, but maybe he might play one of the characters. I don't know, or he might try his hand at directing.
Right.
But what I was more concerned about is like, oh shit, Hollywood really could just like turn this into like Black Panther 3.
Yeah.
But you could so easily like it's just a shame because it made me think like I don't think they will do this, but like it's just a shame that like maybe a lot of scripts were lost just because like, they weren't Marvel movies or like something more easily marketable with familiar characters.
Right. I mean that goes with like a lot of scripts too, though.
No, yeah, but I was just thinking like how many great movies could like lost scripts could we have seen had like the writer said like, oh no, this isn't like an original work, this is a Black Panther sequel, and then the studio execs would be like, oh well, in that case.
Yeah. You should check out Yasuke, like an anime on Netflix that's based on like this black samurai.
Oh, it's about yeah, that guy's I think I know who you're talking
It's a
about.
true story.
Like he was like an Angolan slave of a Portuguese missionary in China or something like that, and then got sold to like a samurai warlord, right?
Yeah, and then he trained him.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, all right, I'm definitely adding this to the list because I've heard of the guy just in like in my history in reading about the history of like the samurai wars of the Sengoku period.
Yep.
But no, it's good that they finally a show about him because that guy had an interesting life. But it's always such a shame because people complain about diversity being in places where they don't think it should be. Like for example, people were complaining about how one of the Battlefield games had black soldiers in the French army, even though that's like very realistic for World War II. In fact, I think at a certain point, Charles de Gaulle's French army had more black soldiers than white soldiers.
Right.
Just because France was occupied by the Nazis. But in many ways, like reality is stranger than fiction. And there's actually a Russian general, Abram Petrovich Hannibal was a Russian nobleman and was essentially, but he was black.
Nice.
And he was born in Ethiopia and captured as a slave, I believe, given to Peter the Great of Russia by the Ottomans, I think,
Okay.
as as a slave. And Peter the Great freed him, made him his godson, and like made him like an important figure in the court, and made Hannibal, also called Gannibal, a prominent member of the Russian nobility. He was one of like Peter the Great's main generals, and he's actually the great grandfather of the renowned Russian poet Alexander Pushkin.
All right.
So it's a strange story, but I feel like if you made a movie about like Peter the Great and then and maybe not focused on this character, but just had him as a background character, just had like a black man in Peter the Great's court dressed up like a nobleman, I feel like a lot of people who don't know this guy would complain. It's like, oh, this is forced diversity and yak. But like, kind of ignoring that like he was actually a real guy.
Right.
So no, it just got me thinking that history's stranger than history's a lot stranger than I think we give it credit for. People are like weirdly unwilling to accept people of like different backgrounds existing in period pieces. But like people traveled around. Like people like this guy
Yasuke.
Yasuke, yeah, Yasuke like moved, yeah, he moved from Africa to India to China to Japan. Like that happened. Like even if it's strange, it still happened. People are just like weirdly unwilling to accept that.
Yeah, but that's because he was a slave.
No, I mean true, but same with Abram Hannibal. But
Right.
like it still happened, and like slaves still rose to like prominent positions in society more than you might think. Like especially if you were like a slave for an important person. Like I think like most viziers of the Ottoman Empire were technically slaves of the Sultan, but like they're still like more powerful than any free peasant.
Yeah.
So it's a strange thing. I don't really have a segue for this one. If you watch a movie that takes place in Los Angeles, you can generally tell it's in LA.
Yeah, for the most part.
Or if it's in New York, you can tell it's there. Or if it's in Chicago, you can kind of tell it's there. Houston has nothing remarkable or recognizable about it because it's a bullshit city. So therefore, if a movie did take place in Houston, you just wouldn't notice.
You're gonna get a lot of Texans after you after this.
No, my family's from Houston. I can shit talk. I can shit talk Texas all I want, especially Houston. My dad grew up in Conroe, worse shithole than Houston is.
But I hear they have good barbecue.
That is true. That every state has a redeeming quality, and mostly it's barbecue.
Right, and it's all different too. So
Exactly. Like Texas is very beef focused. Like Charleston and the U.S. South is like the Southeast, not the Southwest, is very pork focused. Kansas City's both. Kansas City's representing here.
nice.
Yeah.
KC.
KC. Yeah, see, like, no one would know a movie that took place in Kansas City, but, like, they at least know that there's barbecue in Kansas City. But, like, people don't know shit about it.
Have you had all the different types?
Not all of them. I've never tried Kansas City barbecue, but I've never been to Kansas City.
Right.
I don't really have a reason to. I actually, my roommate went to university in the U.S., met the son of the lawyer of a very prominent
Clan member?
Kansas City rapper, and apparently he's a completely crazy guy.
You know the guy's name?
Yes, I do. I probably shouldn't say because like I really want to talk about like stories about him like getting banned from Target and like fighting off homeless people on the bus with a suitcase.
All right.
Yeah, no, but he's like exactly what you'd expect from a rapper's lawyer.
Right.
Just like hilarious and angry. But like apparently a very good lawyer, and you can't make the charges stick because of him. That's like the royalty of America you meet living going to school in the US.
Nice.
Yeah. But my point is, like Houston is the fourth largest city in the US, like city proper. If you go by metro, it's like DC or something. But yeah, the only city, so city proper, the only three cities ahead of it are New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, or New York, Los Angeles, Chicago in that order.
Yep.
Which means, despite being the fourth largest city, it's not recognizable as those three, or even the city that comes after it, which is Philadelphia. Like no one knows what Houston looks like. There's nothing about Houston culture that's recognizable in TV or movies, and because Houston is a bullshit city.
What about the Astros?
Yeah, that's just the baseball team. That doesn't mean anything. The only thing people know about Houston is like it's where space stuff happens, kind of. Like, it's not even where they launch the rockets. It's just like where they contact them.
Right.
But they don't. Even then, they don't know what the place looks like. Houston is a bullshit city Houston is a bullshit city because it's too hot. It's a place where like it's too hot and it's too humid. Like it's 40 with like 100% humidity. So you go from your air conditioned house to your air conditioned car to your air conditioned office and back again, and then you don't do anything else. Like, and it's a bad city because like it's entirely car based, so you don't do anything.
Well, that's like LA, isn't it?
LA is a little more walkable and transit oriented than I think people give it credit for. Like, it has a pretty substantial metro, like bigger than you'd think.
But no one uses the metro.
Yeah, fair enough. But like, it has like nice walkable areas to it. Like, not the whole thing. Venice Beach and Santa Monica, everyone loves.
Which is where all the homeless live now.
Which, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you live there? The weather's beautiful. If I was homeless, I sure as shit wouldn't be living in North Dakota. Like, that just makes sense.
Just live on the beach.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people give California shit for like having so many homeless people, but like, if you're homeless, where do you expect people to go? Like, if you're not going to provide them with homes, of course they're going to go to California, like to live on the beach. I'd do that. Like, I mean, I'd probably stay here because of free healthcare and shit, but it's tricky. But like, no one cares about like the suburban parts of Los Angeles. Like, people care about like Beverly Hills and Santa Monica and Venice Beach, and that's it. Like, no one cares about like really crappy places like way inland,
Yeah.
like Santa Barbara. Like, no movie takes place in Santa Barbara.
Sure, there's some.
That's fair, but I can't remember any off the top of my head, which means there's none.
All right.
Otherwise, if it's not in one of the walkable places, like the only time you recognize it, LA is like because they like have a chase through the LA River.
Yeah.
Got it. If you're making a movie in LA, you gotta have a chase through the LA River. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the last free game on the Epic Game Store was Among Us, which I felt pretty ripped off by.
You don't like it?
No, it's not that. It's just Among Us is already free, like on your phone, but not on computers. Why is
Well, because they made it. No, actually, they made it on PC first.
Did they? Okay. And then they just made a free mobile version with ads or
I
something?
think so, because it blew up, and then yeah.
Oh, okay.
Among Us is that game where like it's like multiple people, and you have to like find who's the killer.
You have to find who's sus.
Sabotage.
Yeah, who's sus.
That's what the kids are saying, huh?
If you're the dude, you're sus.
Right.
Yeah. So but like, yeah, no, that's such a fucking ripoff. Like, don't say you're giving away a free game and then give me a game that's already free. Piss off.
The story of it was good. I think it was
Already
made by
knew
like
I
3 people, and then it blew up because streamers started to play it, started to collaborate, and then I think recently they launched like a 2.0 version with like a new map.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. It reminds me of Flappy Bird. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like, and how like the dude was just like a random guy in Vietnam who like ripped off this like helicopter simulator, and somehow it became like the biggest game ever.
Well, kind of like Angry Birds too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Was Angry Birds like just an independent guy?
I think so.
Okay, fair enough. And that at least that got made into a movie, so that's even crazier actually. So like the dude went from being like a pretty poor guy in like Vietnam and ended up just making $80 million in like a very short period of time. It's pretty crazy.
What other game did you download that was free?
Oh god, you want me to shit talk it?
Go for it.
All right. So I the week before, the game that was free was NBA 2K21, and
And how was that?
see, it's a game that normally sells for $20 or not $20, $80. And so to put it in perspective, Cyberpunk 2077 is also $80. Now that's a game that took a while to develop and was like pretty cool looking and had to imagine like this whole different world. Whereas like this is just kind of a janky basketball simulator. I'm not really feeling it. Like, I don't mind it because it's free, but like that's not an $80 game. Especially if you come out with a new one every year.
Also, the fact that I think EA stopped making their games, so it's only one developer making an NBA game every year. So it's like you either play their game or you don't play anything.
Yeah, no, wait, so EA made a separate NBA game?
Yeah, so they used to have like EA used to run all the sports games, so like NHL, MLB.
Yeah, I thought they
EA has Madden, and then they made a basketball game and trying to compete with NBA 2K, which is another studio, Take-Two. And then EA stopped making theirs, so Take-Two didn't really have any competition and just released games, and that became like the go-to basketball game.
How did they end up being like how did the NBA end up being the only game not being made by EA? It's like EA makes FIFA and NHL and the Madden NFL games.
Pretty sure it's because of licensing.
Okay, like they just licensed it before like EA took over all the sports games or something.
Take-Two just got all the licensing, the official license from the NBA, and then EA couldn't use any of their official teams or names or logos and stuff. So it's like, what's the point of making a game?
That's weird. Yeah, you can't do that anyway. But I'm more surprised that like 2K was more popular than the EA basketball games.
Yeah.
It's just strange that like a smaller studio like outcompeted EA in that regard. There's also like there's a bunch of generic ones like a I think it's called like Football Manager or something. I don't know if it's like if you actually play the game.
It's good to have competition in different developers so you get like a choice as opposed to just one game that you're forced to play.
No, I agree. Like, and you get like very moderate graphics improvements, and like in some cases, just like it's just I don't know. I just can't comprehend that it's an $80 game. It's a little janky. It's just a little janky. Maybe it's just because like I first started playing it and I'm not very good.
Yeah, maybe you'll love it in a couple weeks.
So like I'm just kind of button mashing until like Kawhi gets a shot. Yeah, that's true. The jankiest thing about it is that I decided to play as the Detroit Pistons because they're Dennis Rodman's team and they beat the shit out of the audience one time. And I decided like I'm gonna move them to Vancouver because that's a thing you can do. Because that way Canada has two basketball teams. But I couldn't change the logo to not say Detroit Pistons. So like they're just playing for Vancouver, but their shirts still say Detroit Pistons. So like whoever made this didn't like spring for the extra like couple $100 to allow you to like change the name of the city on the logo.
It was too much effort for them.
I know that's just like if I'm paying $80 for a game, I want that. That's like because come on, there's not that many features of this game. Like you're just playing basketball games and like trading players and teams around. Those are like the only like three functionalities. So I'd like
Yeah.
all three of them to work very nicely. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's just yeah, and like you can like customize the stadium, but like you can really only customize like the color of the seats and shit. It's just Fallout lets you like customize your towns more than that.
I guess that's not its strong suit of like NBA customizing things. They just I guess focus on the gameplay and the mechanics.
No, and I think that's probably why like I don't have the same level of appreciation for it. I think like someone who like cares a lot about basketball and like recognizes all the players and says like, "Oh my god, it's this guy. Oh my god, it's this guy. Oh my god, it's this guy." Like it's like I think they'd get a lot more appreciation out of it than I would. Like just like being able to like play as your favorite team and like finally like get the fantasy of you getting your fucking ring.
Yeah.
So like I get that. Like that makes sense, but it's just not something I'm super into. And part of the reason I got it is because like I decided a while ago like, all right, you know what? I've never really played a Madden game. I'm just gonna like buy like an older one for cheap and just try it out, see what it's like.
Yeah.
Plays the Oakland Raiders. And I found out, much to my bemusement, you actually cannot buy digital copies of old Madden games because EA wants you to buy the new ones, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bullshit, I think. Like you could play them, but you got to be like subscribed to like a monthly subscription service to have access. And I fucking hate.
Yeah, they set it up so that like you're locked in.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate it so much. It's terrible. And it's like the one disadvantage of digital games. Like, granted, you don't lose your games, but like you can't, like, there's no market for secondhand shit. And if you can buy like older games at a much cheaper price, and that's nice. But the developer could just decide like, oh no, we're not selling the older version of this game.
Yeah.
Especially with like sports games where like the nature of the gameplay doesn't really change fundamentally. So like whereas like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas all have like different settings, different stories. FIFA 2011 doesn't really have anything different to it except for like the players in like 2021.
Right. Well, that's like you can't really change much if it's based on like a regular season of the real sports league.
No, I don't disagree. Like that's just like that's like kind of just an issue inherent to like the style of game. It's just like I just don't get how they release a new one every year. It's really interesting. Like it's alien to me, just because like I'm not that into sports video games.
Yeah. I mean, they did release, I think they just released Far Cry 6.
Yeah, that's coming out, and Gus Fring is going to be
The main villain, yeah.
the main villain. I'm looking forward to it. It's because they've done a Far Cry in Africa, they've done a Far Cry in the South Pacific, they've done one in like northern India, like the Himalayas, and now they're doing one in South America. So I think it's going to go really nicely. It really was the next logical step. I guess you could have had, you could have one in the Middle East. That would be interesting.
I mean, they could have done it anywhere, really.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Back to Africa we go. I really loved Far Cry's 3 and 4 though. Like, is that just felt like a fun vacation.
You should tweet them about like next locations.
Oh yeah, they could do one in like Afghanistan, but I don't know how different that would be from 4. It'd be like slightly more arid version of 4. Yeah, I guess Far Cry's not that different. Like it's the same game in a new location, but I love it every time. Fucking love it every time.
All right, well that's gonna do it for us. Thanks everyone for tuning in. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms, and don't forget to check us out on social media, podcast_above on Twitter and Above Average Podcast everywhere else. See you guys next time.
See you guys.